Caleb, looking at the last few games and this game too, do you feel like the team can get to like kind of the harder areas to score inside the box? I think of the chance you had early in the game with James. Like those are the chances you want, but do you feel like you're getting to those spots enough?
Yeah, we got in the box, half spaces in zone 14 twice as many times as they did in the game. Twice as many. So we're getting in the right spots. Analytics show that. Obviously, bottom line is the last two games we didn't get results. We're not happy about that. We played the two best, what I feel are the two best teams in the league. But we're still not happy. We didn't get the results, that's the bottom line. But when you look at last game in particular, it really shows how close we are. Because for 60 minutes, we had the better of the game. We got in positions to score. They had very little. So again, I'll keep telling the truth. That's what I see. That's the best team in the league, and for 60 minutes, we had the better of the game, and I think we're close. What we're missing, where that gap is the final third.
With the defensive mistakes that at least happened last game, do you feel like that may be kind of a product of just not finishing on the other end, that those mistakes can tend to happen?
Yeah, I think again, when you play so well and you get in so many good spots, again, look, you can look at the analytics. Again, for me, I try to tell the truth, but twice as many times we're in the key spots than they are. It's hard to do much more than that. We just have to be better in those spots. We know we have, some reinforcements coming. That'll help. I still believe in the players that are in those positions, but there's no magic bullet. It's not rocket science. When you get in those half spaces and you get in, the box, you have to score. And there's nothing more to it, really. And the guys know that. I think, it can lead to frustration, right? Especially when we play so well box to box. And, I really feel like, that we're showing that, and our averages in terms of attacking position on the year show that we are getting in good positions to score goals as well as any other team in the league. I think we're number 2 in half spaces. We're number 2 in box entries in the whole entire league after 12 games. And number 4, I think, in zone 14. So, for me, I'm not frustrated with that. It's hard sometimes to not get frustrated because you're doing all the right things. That's not just me saying that, that's the facts. Whether people want to hear it or not, I'm going to tell the facts. And bottom line is, I'm not happy that we're getting in those spots and not scoring, neither is the team. And bottom line, we're not happy the results are there. But, I go back to process, and at the end of the day, we got to clean up the final third, and we got to continue to put these guys in the same positions that they're in, and they got to score. James had one that's the best chance of the game. He either turns and shoots or sets it to Miggy. Yao had a very good chance. All he has to do is slide it. We had 3 runners at the back post. Miguel had a very good chance, left-footed. Those are all 8 yards out or in, So you can't get guys in better positions than that to score goals.
Is there a common denominator for you when you mentioned you're in all the spaces that you want? Is there a common denominator of why those aren't even just shots on goal or in goals?
Yeah, some of it's experience, some of it is, the technique in that moment. There's a reason why, some guys are Carlos Vela and some guys aren't. Some guys are Castellanos, some guys aren't. That's a reality. At the end of the day, I love my guys. But, my job is to put them in good positions to score goals. We're doing that. I'm going to continue to be positive with those guys that are in those positions. I'm going to continue to show them those clips and work with them, and then get back in the training ground and, push that quality and that precision. I feel like we're doing, and the team knows this, I feel like we're doing all the right things to score goals. And that's not just me saying it, it's the facts, and the team knows that. We're going to stay positive. I think, again, we played the 2 best teams in the league, And I thought last game for 60 minutes, we showed how close we are, you know, but we also showed that the gap is in the final third.
You mentioned those top guys, Castellanos, Vela. You have guys that are in that designated player range. Do you need more from those
Lucas.
guys right now?
Lucas is the real one, you know, in the attack, you know. So when you look at Lucas, he's in that caliber, right?
Right. I mean, even a guy like Darlington has shown
He's a possession midfielder. He's a possession midfielder.
So
you know?
you're not looking for him to step into a more attacking role while you guys try and figure things out.
We need our front three to score. That's their job. You know what I mean? So Darlington's job isn't to score goals. He will chip in some goals, but that's like asking your, you know, I don't know what it's like asking. I'm trying to think of an analogy in football. It's like asking your fullback or something to score more when your wide receivers aren't catching the ball. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, our front three is where we're falling short. You know, and so is Darlington gonna score goals? Yes, but why would we ask a player to play a different role when his role is to do what he's been doing, you know? And we could throw Darlington up top. He's not going to all of a sudden become a 20-goal scorer. We could throw him on the wing. He's not going to score 8 goals. Now our midfield doesn't have any rhythm, or, you know, so there's no solution in that other than, you know, we need Yao, Miguel, Eric Hurtado, guys that play on the wing, right, to score goals, and they're in great spots to do that. You know, and ultimately everybody sees that, everybody knows that. Those guys know that as well. They saw the video today. They see all the positions that they're in, and the difference is in those players in that position. You know, we know we're looking to add a piece here or there. In the meantime, I'm going to keep doing what I always do, and I'm going to put out a team and a plan, just like I did against LAFC, to put my team in a position to win the game, which they did for 60 minutes. And we even score the goal. It's a bit off. It's unfortunate, but I don't know how you can do much more than that in the 60 minutes, other than just finish the chances we had. We had plenty of them. We had plenty of good ones.
And I think the assumption has been, and I don't know if you've actually said this, that when you talk about July, you're talking about a striker coming in. But could you envision maybe a couple of pieces or different attacking options other than just a pure number 9?
That'd be nice.
You guys need?
I'd take it. You know, I think again, when you look at the last 2 games, look at the attacking players on New York City and LAFC. Right? That's a big reason why they're the best 2 teams in the league. You know, and so, you know, I think when you look at, you know, our back 7-8, there was no problem. We're there. I mean, I know we made a couple mistakes, but, you know, it's just when we get in the right spots, you know, it's the player in the moment, and, you know, Derek can score, you know, he's had 3 this year, you know, so I think the confidence there with him hopefully will continue growing. Yao has been in great spots. I thought he had his best game of the year. But if you rewatch all the positions he was in, he has to get a couple goals. You know, that's him. That's not anything I can do for him in that moment. That's, you know, Vela, you see what he did in that moment. You know, you see what Cifuentes did in that moment. You know, those are the same positions we were in. Those are the same positions we were in. So it's continuing to work, continuing to stay positive. I'm going to continue to stay positive. I'm going to continue to tell the truth. I'm going to continue to analyze. I'm going to continue to put out, you know, what I feel are good plans to put my team in good positions to score. I think even Pep Guardiola said it this week. You know, he said his job is to put guys in positions to score. But it's the player's job to score, you know, at the end of the day. If we're not getting in positions to score, then I'm worried about how we're playing. I'm worried about some of the things that I'm doing. I'm worried about, you know, the tactics of the game, right? But, you know, at the end of the day, if you're number 2 in the league, in the entire league, in half spaces and box entries, we're number 2 in box entries in the entire league, which means we are getting in the box more than any other team in the league. Number 2. You know, so there's that sometimes I think people want this magic, like, coaching trick, you know, there's no magic coaching trick with that. You know, it's like getting on the 1 yard line, and we're fumbling on the 1 yard line every time, you know, and we have to get that right. And it's easy to get frustrated with that. There have been some frustrations from the team on the fact that we're not scoring and we're playing so well and we're dominating LAFC. That's healthy. That means they care. But we can't let it get to us to the point where we stop playing well. We got to keep playing the way we're playing, and we need to obviously add a piece or two, definitely a striker. You know, can we get Miguel, though, and Eric? Because they know a striker's coming. Can we get a couple goals out of those guys? You know, when we get the striker, who's going to be the backup? Who's going to be the 2-3? I mean, those are realities. We need guys to step up. We've given, you know, Miguel a lot of games, and you know, he knows that. You know, we've shown a lot of faith in him, and he's in good spots. He's in great spots, actually. There was a great ball that Pedro played him behind the line, where if he just receives it and pops it home, it's a goal. You know, so those are things we talk about. You know, again, I tell the truth. I'm telling you what I told him and what I told the team, and they all agree. They all know that. You know, there's no confusion on where we're at all. I'll end with just saying we're a lot closer than people think.
Caleb, speaking to that, you mentioned frustration, but also knowing that you're in the right spots. How do you work on that as a team? How do you tell the team that they're there and reinforce the positive while also encouraging growth and getting better?
You show them the video. You show them all the positions, so they see visually, right, what should happen, and you train it, right? But some guys become Carlos Vela and some guys don't. Like, I don't think people get that. Some guys become, you know, a Tom Brady and some guys don't. Some guys become a Castellanos and some guys don't. And at the end of the day, we are trying to develop some guys into one of those guys, right? But when you look at the roster and the budget and what those guys are on, you can kind of see that there's a gap a little bit there with those guys. That's a reality, you know. So can we turn Darlington in a guy that, or can we turn Derek into a guy that becomes, you know, not a good value piece that you go, holy wow, I can't believe what he's on, into a guy that's like a legitimate top winger in the league. Can Yao become that? That's what we had hoped he would be, right? But there's no magic bullet for that. You know, it's showing him in the video, it's putting him on the training ground. But some guys become, you know, top players, and some guys don't. You know, and you know, I'll use the example of, you know, a guy like Blanco, right? You spend a little bit more, you get a guy like Blanco, he comes in the league. It was a little bit of a risky signing, but you see what's happened with a guy like him, you know? And we're gonna get that in the striker, and we're hoping to develop some of our wingers into that type of guy, you know? But of course, if you have a Talus Magno and you've spent a certain amount, right, you're gonna get a little bit more out of the gates. And what I do is I don't complain, I don't make excuses, I don't, you know, pin it on that I don't have a budget. That's not the way that my character is, that's not the way that I think, that's not the way that I talk to my guys. I work, I do my job, I take the team that I have, and every single game I put my head down and I put a group out that's ready to play. My freaking group was ready to play this game. After 4 hours of waiting, they were ready to play. Anybody questions if they were ready to play? You don't know what you're talking about. My group was ready to play. Not only just ready to play, but we dominated the first 57 minutes of the game. Okay? That's the reality. Okay, so I'd say we got it right. The mentality was right, the hunger was right, the motivation was right. That's my job. The tactics, the game plan, that's my job. Okay? I can't finish from 8 yards out. I can't finish from 6 yards out. In that moment, just like I really don't think Steve Cherundolo's telling Carlos Vela how to score from 6 yards out or 8 yards out. That's not happening. And Pep Guardiola is not telling his attackers from 8, 10, 12 yards out how to score goals. You know? But I'm going to continue to show them the video, continue to work on the training ground, continue to believe in these guys, be positive with them. and not make excuses. That's who I am as a coach. And, you know, if you can't see that we were ready to play in that game, if you can't see that the plan was right, if you can't see that the way we played, we should have scored goals, that's not my problem.
Yeah.
It's just really not, you know.
One last question for me. Is that okay? Okay. Defensively, this team, through the most of the beginning of this season, really good. And even in this game against LAFC, they didn't. I can't think of a time that they broke you down in a way that was super dangerous. Do you look at these moments in the last game and this game as, you know, just blips, or how do you focus on what actually happened in those moments to address? Is it, you know, a lack of focus in some of these restart situations? How do you keep your team honed in on how good they are defensively, essentially?
Yeah, we don't lose sight of the fact that we shouldn't have given up those goals, right? Okay, so bottom line is we should have scored a lot earlier. We should have scored in the first half. We should have scored at the start of the second half. We started the second half, even though they subbed on Vela and Rodriguez, we started as a better team. Again, doing exactly what we were doing in the first half. Nothing changed, okay? So, you know, that's the honest perspective, right? Because I've watched the game, right? And I know people don't rewatch the game, and if they do, I don't even know what they see, honestly. I really don't. And I can't worry about that, you know? I gotta be in my reality. We should have scored, but also, if you don't score, you can't concede. And we conceded on a second ball. It was a bit unfortunate because Darlington kind of nicked it behind Josh, and then Josh is in a foot race with Vela. You know, can we do better to react to that situation, to stop that play? Yes, of course. And we talked about that today. You know, I look at everything and I show the guys everything, but I have to have a perspective on what needs to change, and what needs to change by and large when you look at everything. My eye, the team's eye, their understanding, the analytics. We need to be better in the final third.
Appreciate you.
Thanks,
Thank you guys. Take care.